So the plan today is to build a cover to get rid of this eyesore in front of the house. So let's see what we can do. So my thought is I would like for it to match the house. I do have extra siding I can probably use. So maybe build a frame and use siding. A lot of people are using it with wood and making it look all nice and fancy, but I just want it to blend in. So we'll take some measurements and go from there. Forgot about that old jack. That thing's been there forever. May just have to scrap it out unless I can repair it. Okay, so I think I figured out how I'm going to do this. So we need 4 2x4s, 35 inches wide. So what I want to do is cut a notch out on each of the top and bottom. So I'm going to set the height of the table saw at 1.5 inches to cut this, and then I'll run through and rip cut this off of the fence. So there's something making a little noise down here, so I'm guessing it's probably some chips or something. So we're gonna take this off. I've unplugged everything so I don't accidentally cut anything off of myself. So let's see what we got in here. Oh yeah, say we got a few few chips here and there, things like this. All right, that's much better. Alright, so we're gonna cut some notches after I plug everything back up. There we go. Alright, here we go. Alright, so now I'm going to rip cut on this to get me my depth, and don't cut too far so that you're cutting past the line on the bottom. So now I just reset the fence so that we can cut from the other side. That way we can go ahead and finish. my sides at even 44. I need 40 3/4 for these. Line it up. So I decided to go ahead and pre-drill these just so I don't get any splitting out of it. Got everything flat. Need some more screws. Alright, so we're going to take a piece of flat stock here and we're going to measure it out, and we're going to put that to keep on the bottom to keep this from moving in and out. And that'll give rigidity on it so that the door stays in place and everything. So we're just going to mark this, and then we're going to put it in, do a little routing on it, set it down in there flat so it doesn't create any kind of a bump or anything. And then we'll go from there. Alright, so we're just going to route these notches out to set that down. We're a little bit more than what the thickness is of this, just so we don't get unlevel or anything. So we'll just route these out. Alright, then we'll go do the other side. Okay, so we've got our metal piece on the bottom inset so that we're alright. The can goes over just fine. I tested that out to make sure. Also put a piece of 2x2 at the top here to keep our framing steady. And the can does roll in and out of that just fine without any problems. So we will start ripping the boards for the sides. I've got some cedar fence pickets that I'm going to rip down, and we're going to put those around the outside of the piece, and then we'll use them for the top as well. So to make these picket pieces work for this, I need to cut 2 of them right in the middle at 3 inches so that I can use those for strips on the side. And then that'll leave me about 34 3/8 wide for the rest of the boards to cut, so I'll be able to get 2 boards out of each one. So I need to go ahead and rip this one where it is right now. Then we'll just line it up and attach our strips the tops being on this side. And then we'll hit the other side. So here we are with one side. Got the spacing where it was even pretty much all the way down. So one side done, two more to go on here, and then get the door and get everything on, and then build the top. All right. All right, so routed out and mounted the hinges on the box itself. Now I'm gonna get ready to put them on the door, and then we'll get it fit and see how she works. All right, we're just routing out for the hinges on the door itself. Nice little gadget here. It just has a trim bit that runs with a bearing on the inside of this so that you get a nice clean cut. And we'll go ahead and route this one out. That's all there is to it. Get their last one done. All right, so we got all the hinges in. Still got to put a couple more screws in those hinges, but we are good. All I gotta do is put a latch over here and then build our top. All right, for the top, and I had to kind of debate what I was gonna do here, but I used cedar to make the whole thing. So I basically have full pickets cut to size for the frame around the outside, and then ripped 2 1/2 for the outside pieces, which would match the outside of the container, and then just measured and put in the pickets in the middle. And all of this was glued and nailed in, so it should hold up fairly well. Got to get a hinge for the back and maybe a handle for the front. I've got it where it's going to hang over just a little bit all the way around, so you may not even need a handle. So we'll see how that turns out. All right. All right, so pretty much complete at this point. Because we're sitting a little wacky because of the floor, but we're gonna add a couple of gas shocks in there to hold that up so that you don't have to sit here and hold it. Just added a little link and some chains so that when you lift this, it lifts the top of the trash can, but put enough on it so when you let it down, it sits all the way back on so you don't smell everything that's going on. So pretty much it's a done deal. So just going to add those gas shocks when I get those in, and we'll be all good to go.